welcome to SY Social Club. It is episode number 18 and it is the first episode of the year 2021. We made it, guys. We have said goodbye to the year 2020. What an omni-shambles of a year, and we're ready to look ahead. So yeah, it's really exciting to be here. I am one of your co-hosts, Kat Hepburn, and yeah, I'm really excited about tonight's show. So I'm going to pass you to my co-host, Kevin, who's going to tell you a little bit more about what you can expect from SY Social Club.
Hello, yes, I'm Kevin P Gilday. I'm the other half of Sonnet Youth, and thank you very much for joining us here at the SY Social Club. Now, if you've never been to a Sonnet Youth show, whether that's in real life or digitally, then we are a spoken word house party, we are a literary rave, we are a poetic piss-up, bringing together spoken word artists, poets, authors, comedians, musicians for a night of no-holds-barred entertainment. And this is our digital venue. This is the SY Social Club, where we invite in the very best artists to perform directly from their home straight into yours. So thank you very much for joining us here, and to all our new Patreon subscribers who have joined us in the new year to see all these great social club shows coming up. So yeah, we've got an amazing lineup tonight. We've got incredible artists from all over the country. It's going to be a great one. Kat, who have we got on the bill?
Okay, so for our very first bill of 2021, we have Courtney Stoddart, we have Calum Ingram, we have Roisin Caird, and our headliner is Roy. We have got an absolutely stonking show for you. It's going to be great. If you're enjoying what you see and you're enjoying the art that people are putting on for you, then please jump in the comments. Artists are needy and we need your adoration. You can also get us across all social media. Feel free to tweet and Instagram and all that jazz during the show to let us know if you're enjoying it. So I'm going to now pass you over to my co-host, who's going to kick off our show with a little poem. I don't know what it's about. It's the first one I've heard Kevin perform this whole year. So yeah, please put your hands together for Kevin P Gilday. Woohoo!
Thank you. I thought I'd start the new year off as I ended the last one, writing depressing poems. So here's a new piece. I've not really done this one before. This one's called Maryhill Juniors. Now, Maryhill Juniors, people in Glasgow will know there's a social club attached to Maryhill Juniors Football Club, and it's where every function happens, where all the wakes happen, all the christenings happen, all the birthday parties happen. If you're from a certain kind of working class background, you will have been in that room at Maryhill Juniors, and this is a wee poem about it. So rarely is a room trusted to hold both life and death in such narrow dimensions. Its rich mahogany frame expanded from absorbing generations of tears and spilled lager. The mustachioed teams of the past look on, unmoved, supping from oversized silver cups and studying our grief with an anthropological gaze from smoke-stained walls. It's awake this time, but in an hour it will be indistinguishable from last week's raucous christening once the ties are off and neatly folded into jacket pockets or wife's handbags. Regardless of occasion, the drinking gets done all the same. A Glaswegian hello and goodbye is near identical. An impassioned grunt of emotion, a moment of silence and a spirited session. I am handed drinks by uncles who dare not hug me but smuggle their contraband affection in a bottomless stream of Guinness, plying us with liquid lubrication until we allow ourselves our greatest indulgence yet, permission to feel. Cheers. Thank you very much. So we've got an amazing lineup ahead of us tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Our first guest that we've got on is a newcomer making their Sonnet Youth debut. We're very excited about it. Courtney Stoddart, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Good. Great to see you, Courtney. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for having me here.
Oh no, it's our pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us. So it's the start of a new year. You had a pretty fantastic 2020, all things considered. You know, there's a pandemic and stuff, but you seem to negotiate it well. What have you got lined up in the new year? What are you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so I've just been sort of given the Ignite Award as part of the Scottish Book Trust. So I'm hoping to be working on my first pamphlet. So I'm very excited about that.
Wow, that's fantastic news. Yeah, and there's so much kind of credibility that comes with that, and also the time and space to create work, which is so important. We all know that as kind of artists and writers. But yeah, you had a great year last year, as I've alluded to, including starring in the Lament for Sheikh by our good friend Hannah Lavery. How was that experience?
Yeah, it was deeply emotional, of course, but made such beautiful relationships with the people involved. And it was a painful but wonderful experience. So very thankful for it.
Yeah, and an absolutely beautiful piece of work. I think we were all blown away by it here at Sonnet Youth. So thank you very much for doing that and sharing that kind of piece of art with us. Okay, I think that this has been a lovely little chat, but what I want to do is hand you the stage, and we want to hear some great poems from you. So everyone at home, please make some noise, put your hands together for Courtney Stoddart.
Death is surely the most lonely of activities. She invites me to explore within her mysteries. They say that death is but the greatest of victories, but lives are being wasted, eased away so listlessly. It seems we're standing close at the edge, at the periphery. Fascism doth flourish due to my passivity. Death is my witness, she riddles me with misery, tickles with intimacy. Death is quite the minx as she teases of liberty. Thank you. Thanks very much. So my second poem is called Class Ceilings, and I performed it recently on Damien Barr's Big Scottish Book Club, which I believe is still available on iPlayer if anybody wants to check it out. So this is Class Ceilings. First class, second class, business class, it's classified in classrooms, class division, class in school, class in taste, economic class, etiquette is shaped by class, stand, sit and walk, it's class, isn't it? The way we are cast in, classed in shade. Make waves for mobility for those who come after me, but radically, class dictates life choices almost magically. Exploitation rules over imagination, and we are left with cold summer's days, where the sun does not shine and class and race intertwine so perfectly, so properly imposed, so faithfully by the powers that be, and we are alienated bodily by those who happily drop bomb oversee. They're taxing me without even asking me, classing me under war, under policy, under fear of refugee and worship of the ruling class. With their class ceilings and class in high places, please mind your airs and your graces. But we did not come to fight flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high and low places. So never mind those airs and those graces. Class your heads above the parapets when democracy is fleeting. When ties and false ties are weaving amongst political hypocrisy, see in futures they will ask those who teach who be these people of history, and why did they believe the lies which bind and bleed in favour of bread and circus? Why did they believe that lives were worthless? And why did they believe that love had lost all purpose? Thank you. Thanks very much. So my next poem is called Black History, and I was commissioned to write this by Young Scot and Intercultural Youth Scotland as part of Black History Month. So yeah, this is Black History. What does Black history mean? Black history is more than mythology and dreams, more than Wakanda memes. Black history is everybody's history, and it seems our world is ripping, tearing at the seams. Can we conceive of alternative reality? Why do we aspire to riches and royalty? We do not need kings and queens, we need revolutionaries. Before slavery, most of us were farmers, storytellers, mystics, and fishermen. Some of us were seers, dreamers, liars, and wicked men. Some of us did ill deeds, and some of us planted seeds. Some died for truth, and some killed for lies, and some of us were masterminds never recognized, and there were those who were model and those who would kill for their own sense of sorrow. Some would beg and some would borrow, and there were teachers, there were painters, there were lovers, and there were haters, there were printmakers, musicians and critical thinkers, alcohol drinkers. There were saints and there were sinners, and that's what binds us all. We are all flawed, just as we are all full of infinite potential. Our history is not merely consequential. We have been torn down and we've got back up. Some of us have been stuck, feet sinking into mud, and some of us too soft, and some of us too rough, and some of us so hard we won't let in the love. And see, the system that has been built and envisioned is underpinned by exploitation. So why do we want to emulate the wealth that they have already taken? The corporate media tell you that immigration is something new. But migration is one of the main things that humans do, and corporations go unchecked. They've got a lot to answer for. They're fostering perma-war while we worship celebrities and our appearance overall. And while we like to call it civil, there's no civility in war. People come here seeking refuge, and we show them our closed door, watch their bodies wash ashore. And though publicly we may deplore all wars, it was likely the UK who sold the bombs which hit the floor, perpetually permeating the idea of eternal war. And while they're profiting exponentially, there is no wisdom within war. We forget wealth is not material. It is your integrity and the kindness in your soul. So please, as you grow, don't let it go. Build community, not fake stakes in capital, because when the sun shines, she shines upon us all. You may feel invisible, but visibility does not equal worth. We should not have to fight for our place upon this earth. And remember, your imagination is far more powerful than a rational man's dictation. The banks push inflation until the camel's back is breaking, but we the people are stronger than any nation of all colors and creeds. We were revolutionaries. We were the birds and the bees, the leaves to the trees. Some of us fought against harsh regimes, and there were those who cured disease, and some devoted their lives to religion. Some of us bore children, and some of us were hell-bent, intent on creating division. And today we're sold lies through the television. The imperialist system has swaddled us the imperialist system has swaddled us in materialism, and we fail to question the human condition. We follow the vision of those who cannot see. But we were the heights of glory and the depths of the deepest seas. We were the fair traders and the thieves, loving fathers, mothers, and we were the priests who would deceive. Some of us were cooks, and some of us were cleaners, and some of us had minor misdemeanors, and some of us were prophets, and some of us were university teachers and avid readers, and some of us revered the orishas, and some of us worshipped animals and creatures, and some of us were poets, writers, and healers. So we don't need to be We don't need to be kings and queens. Let us see the beauty in being revolutionaries beyond all means. Dreams reap and sow them at the seams, and best believe we will be what we were born to be, to love freely, fulfill our destiny. 'Cause see, those who composed Black history, they were people just like you and me. Thank you. Thanks so much. So my final poem is called And I Ask of You. And this poem is really, I'd say, a message to those at the top to remind them that what goes up must come down. So this is And I Ask of You. And I ask of you, who dares bear the weight of this, of violence, of truncheon wielded by an illusory apparatus we call the state, and what a state it is, held together by stolen grains of rice, of mice masquerading as men, inflicting harm upon the meek, by the weight of gold in hands too weak to hold it, the stain of blood on ragged handkerchief. Wombs once held the seeds of what would become child. Now they hold persons. They hold the guarantee of coltan in pockets, in laptops, and in wallets. And I ask of you this. When you are merry, melancholic, or melodic, whose hand do you hold? Who do you ask to read you a story before you go to sleep? Who do you ask to fill your mouth so that you can feed? Greed is when those who claim to be holy become solely consumption, embodied by desires of the flesh. And they say the wicked never rest, swallowed whole by wants, and these elites don't provide for the most basic of needs. So who teaches you how to grieve, bleed? Where do you go when you bleed? Ancient whispers once foretold of a world brimming in misery, spilling, pouring, and burning wickedry. In times gone by, they sought illicit reaps, and my heart weeps, for now we are here. I see it before my weedy eyes. This is the present. Mother Earth is crying, yet we cannot see her tears to wipe, to wash. Here come the whitewash. And I ask of you this, when merriment has gone awry, why do you ask for the Lord of the land to keep you dry? Why does shelter have to be bought? We pay in our flesh and our blood and our bone to live on the land we were born upon, and we pay in our time, our sweet and precious time. My feet planted deep into hardened mud, I question, if rain were to fall upon me now, would my scars begin to show, glow? Am I any more than blood and bone, carbon copies of those who walked this earth before me, their merriment and melancholy engaged in a sacred dance, now gone, now buried, flesh, bone, and blood, now hurried, and those Machiavellian mice masquerading as men are stooped low. They hide their faces and they disguise their gold, held in hands supported by weak wrists, eyes marred by the pleasures of the flesh, blood, and bone. Did no one ever tell them that the weight of treasure dirties the soul? Surely they know that once death encapsulates them in her warm and weary arms, she will tell them in soothing yet assertive tones that the treasures they own and the weight of their bones can't come with them. They must leave it behind. Treasure heavies the heart and it mars the mind. And death will ask of them this, Was the pleasure really worth the pain and sufferation? You signed the papers of litigation. So welcome, honey, to the karmic cycles of exploitation. Thank you for patiently waiting. Death don't partake in, no debating. She will take you, claim you as her own. You will be ripped clean from your throne, no longer encased in the gold that you stole, and the wisdom you could have gained was washed away with the waters summoned by your wickedness. And I will ask of you this treasure. Is it treasure you will sorely miss when the stench and mystique of death has swallowed you wholly? Disappeared in the soft wisp of the nightly mist, you won't be remembered for your riches. When the body that encases your heart turns to dust in the sheer wisp of that cold nightly mist, riches and lust will betray you. Your lies and mistrust won't be enough to save you when death comes to plant her kiss on your crooked, wicked, and insipid lips. Thank you.
Wow, an absolutely stunning set by Courtney Stoddart. That was incredible. If you enjoyed it, which I'm sure you did, then please check out Courtney. We've put links to all the artists' work and social media in the show notes there, so definitely check her out. And as fans of Sonnet Youth will know, we're not just a poetry show. As much as we love poetry, we also feature all different types of artists. So next up, I'm very pleased to welcome an incredible cellist, songwriter, a composer, amazing musician, Calum Ingram. Are you there?
Hi, how's it going?
Hello, welcome. How are you?
Good, really happy to be back with you guys. It's been a hot little minute.
Yeah, I was trying to think when we had you on. It feels like a long, long time ago.
Right?
Yeah, but it's great to see you again. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! Yeah, yes. I'm so excited to put that year behind us. Oh my god.
Yeah, definitely. Have you got any New Year's resolutions that you care to share with us?
Probably just to try and still be as happy as I always try to be, I guess, you know. Keep playing music, be happy, and just try to, you know, do things to help people, yeah.
That's good. That's good. And how about your music? What's happening with all of that? Have you managed to kind of still find ways to be creative and
yeah,
and share it with people?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting experience actually, this whole lockdown kind of musically, you know. It's like I've been writing a lot, been doing a lot of collaborations with people all over the world. It's been really fun, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of going inside in this weird insular box of a house for a long period of time. You naturally try to, you know, stretch out. So you start working with people you wouldn't normally work with, and it was a cool experience, and just really, really, really good. I mean, you know, like it's been really horrible and awful for everyone as well. But like having some sort of like refuge in an art is really amazing, and it helps, you know.
Yeah, I understand. And what are you going to be doing for us tonight, Calum?
Ooh, well, I'm going to be playing definitely going to be playing two of my new singles that came out this year. Just recently, a couple months ago. So that's been going really, really great. Like my single Demonized, my most recent single, just got playlisted on BBC Radio 2 and Ciaris Matthews' Blues Show. So that was really exciting. And that seems to be going really well. So I'll be playing that song, Demonized, and also a cover of a Thin Lizzy track, Dancing in the Moonlight, which I released the full band like a month before that. So I'm excited about that. And some little surprises and stuff, you know, so we'll see.
Oh, exciting. I can't wait to see it. Is that Dancing in the Moonlight by is it Top Loader?
It's actually the Thin Lizzy version, but what's hilarious about it, because like when they were playing on the radio and they started to get out, like hardly anyone knew it was like a cover. They all thought it was because it sounds so different, you know. I always try to do that with covers, though. I always try to make them sound as different as it can be, because like I kind of see the point of a cover. It doesn't really make sense to me to do like a carbon copy, you know. I want to make it Calum. I want to make it different. I want to make it cool, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, put your own Calum spin on it. I can see
always.
everyone else laughing at me not knowing that it was originally a Thin Lizzy, but I'll put my hand up. I don't know anything about music. So, but yeah, I was going to say, I've had that song stuck in my head the entire lockdown, and I don't know why. So I feel like there's some kind of like serendipity happening.
Ooh, that's cool.
So I look forward to hearing it. I'm going to give you the stage, so everyone at home, please make lots of noise for Calum Ingram. Woohoo!
Okay. Yes, you bet you're fine. And I'm so scared. I got nowhere to run. Why does this infect my soul? Why does this infect me? Demon eyes. Yes, you bet you're fine. Oh, when you make me so damn scared. Oh, I got nowhere to run. Why does this infect my soul? Why does this affect me? petrified. Oh, and you make me so scared. Oh, I don't want to go home, but I got mountains to climb, and I'm on my way. So I'm on my way. Oh, demon eyes, yes, you petrify. Alright. Next tune I'm going to do is a song called Going Home, and it is off my first album ever, and it's that going back home, which is probably not what you guys want to even think about right now, but I'm going to play it because I guess you can find, you know, anything, you know, like you can find love deep within yourself if you really go into to find what you want to find and create. So like, while we're home, we got to do that, you know, we just gotta figure out how to live, really, just without going and seeing people. It's horrible, but, you know, there's nothing really much else to do, you know, so yeah, this is all about just, so that, and like, this is for all you guys. Spread my wings, hope I'm gonna fly over the oceans. Spread my wings, hope I'm gonna fly over the mountains. home. You're heading home. You're heading. Cool, that was Going Home. That's where Bo wants to go. Like, yo, I'm out of here. Right, cool. One last song, and this is for all you guys dancing at home. Might have guessed it. Let's go Dancing in the Moonlight. Okay. get chocolate stains on my pants. My father, he's going crazy. Says I'm living in a trance. Dancing in the moonlight, got me in the spotlight. Dancing in the moonlight. Alright. Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm on the streets again. I disobeyed another warning. I should have been in by 10. Now I won't get out until Sunday. I'll have to say I stayed with friends. It's a habit worth forming if it means to justify the end. Dancing in the moonlight, got me in the spotlight. Dancing in the moonlight. Alright. Awesome, thank you guys. Woo!
All right, that was an amazing set from the musician Calum Ingram. If you've not already commented and you're enjoying the show, then please tell us what you're liking about it. So we are just about halfway through the show, which means it's time for me to do a little poem. And I usually, well, I can only do this poem at one time of the year, which is our first show in January. So yeah, it's about New Year and New Year's resolutions. So it's called New Year, New Me. It's January the 1st and I'm feeling rough as a badger's arse. I know, tough last night, I drank too much, but I don't need self-scrutiny. I need love. I need Netflix, ice cream and a Chinese takeaway. Someone to rub my feet and tell me it's going to be okay. Right, this is the year that I'm going to quit all the stuff that's bad for me. Learn a new language, pourquoi pas, pass my driving test, it can't be that hard. This is the year that I'm going to dust off my gym gear. I'm finally going to commit to eating superfoods and getting super fit. Once this banging headache subsides, I'm going to start living my life. Because last year was full of regrets and mistakes and what ifs and shoulda, woulda, couldas. Should have asked him out, gone for that job, not wasted most Sundays slobbing and slothing and all that dosh spent on online shopping, squandered on clothes that I never even wore. I shouldn't have wasted so many hours fetishizing vapid influencers' lives on Insta. Instead, I should have been outside climbing things, enjoying nature, or volunteering, utilising, not pissing away my time. I should have persevered with that college course, kept at it with the rollerblading lessons, used my slow cooker more, phoned my parents to see how they were, continued with my hobby of origami before I let it fold in on itself. Pause for everyone to groan at how crap that joke was. Laziness and sheer fear of the unknown took over my calendar, and being so scared of failure, I never even tried. Fuck, what have I done with my life? Oh, that's my pal Gemma texting me, asking me if I'm coming out the night. May as well keep on celebrating. And tomorrow, that's when I'll put things right. Thank you. So that was New Year, New Me, due to come out again next year this time. So yeah, we're going to move on to our next guest. Roisin Caird is an Edinburgh-based comedian. I believe the first time I met you, Roisin, was at Colonel Mustard's night that he was putting on at the Fringe. Do you remember that?
Yeah, who could forget?
Well, I don't know. I was pretty drunk. It's quite bloody.
It was a fun night. It was very, very fun. It was just, yeah, I remember I hadn't met anyone on the bill before, and I just remember it was the point where they were like, oh, as everyone comes in, we're all going to go on stage and dance. And I was like, what am I in for? Like, what have I signed up to? But no, it was really fun.
Yeah, it felt quite kind of kids' TV show, but
yeah.
So how have you been? In fact, so the last time I saw you was the year before last. What have you been up to since then?
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I went away for a bit. That was quite my job. I'm a tour guide in Edinburgh, so I take people around, and obviously winter gets really slow. So I was like, oh, this winter I'll go away for 3 months, and when I come back in mid-March, my job will be waiting for me, and I can just carry on as normal. So it was like the week I got back, we went into lockdown, which was a time. Yeah, but it's actually been okay. Yeah, I've obviously there's been no gigs whatsoever, so this has been. When things opened up, we had some more stuff, but this is actually my first gig since September. So when I was asked to, when Kevin asked me a couple of days ago, I was like, yeah, I'll definitely do that. That'll be great. And I was like, what's my material? Like, what are my jokes? But it was, it'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yeah, it's been good though.
Yeah, I think like some people have been making lots of stuff online. Some people have been taking a break. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to have like responded to all this. So yeah, I'm excited to know that this is your first online gig for a little while, because yeah, it's just always nice to see new content, and it's really nice to see your face, and I'm sure it's going to be really funny. So yeah, I will pass the floor to you. Everyone at home, we are delighted to welcome to the stage Roisin Caird. Woohoo!
Oh wow, thank you very much. So it is nice to be here. So it's really fun to be doing a gig like this. And like I say, I'm staying here in Edinburgh just now. I'm sure a lot of you will be aware Edinburgh is a city made entirely out of Airbnb flats and Harry Potter shops, both of which are dying right now. So that's been pretty fun. But you maybe can't tell from my accent. I do quite like living in Edinburgh, but I am originally from Glasgow, so I've only lived here about 3 years. And one thing that sort of miss about Glasgow is that I love that it has so much of a kind of dichotomy in how it wants to present itself, and it simultaneously wants to be seen as the friendly city and the stabby city. So one big statistic that gets quoted about it is that in the same year it was voted the friendliest city in Europe, and it was also the stabbing capital. And just shortly before, a little bit before I went away last year, I actually had an experience through there that I felt really kind of summed that up. So I was walking down, I was in the Merchant City. I was walking down the road. And across the road, there's this little guy, right? He's outside an old man's pub. And he's sort of looking around. He looks really grumpy. He looks over at me, he goes, "All right, pal, you having a good day?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's really nice. Yeah, man, I'm having a good day." He went, "Aye, you better fucking be." So now I live in Edinburgh, where they keep that rage inside and let it fester into middle-class entitlement. But yeah, so it's been quite nice through here. Going on kind of heavy, which I feel like is sort of the theme of the night. I started seeing a therapist last week, which is quite exciting. First time seeing a therapist. Can't wait to have fun and make friends. And by friends, I mean one friend. And she says it's inappropriate to call her my friend, but I will break her. I've been waiting to get therapy for quite a long time. One of the main reasons is probably cost. So for anyone who doesn't know, when you try to get therapy, you have two options, right? You can go private or you can go NHS. Now, private, you'll get seen pretty quickly. NHS, you might have a waiting list of up to 18 months. But the NHS is free. Now, I have a condition that I inherited from my mother. You might have heard of it. It's called tight bastard syndrome. It means I literally cannot pay for something if I could also get it cheaper, but a bit shitter. When I originally wrote that joke, I called it tight cunt syndrome, and then I read it back. I was like, no, that's a different thing. Though I also have that one, fellas. Sorry. But yeah, I think there's a few warning signs I should maybe get therapy. My hair started falling out last year, which was a bit grim. No one really knew why my hair was falling out. Some of the doctors thought it might be something called androgenetic alopecia, which isn't really meant to hit until the menopause. Now, in fairness, the part of Glasgow that I'm from has a life expectancy of 54, and I'm 28. So maybe this is it. Like, maybe this is just the menopause. One of the treatments for androgenetic alopecia that they can give you is something called finasteride, which is a hormone treatment. But they don't want to give it to me because if I got pregnant, they said that it could cause a complication for the fetus. Now, I did explain that if I get pregnant, there will be a complication for the fetus when I have it aborted. They didn't like that. They weren't into it at all. But then they said, one thing that can cause this is also stress. Do you have a lot of stress in your life? And I was like, well, no, I don't think really. Like, I quite enjoy my day-to-day life. I have a lot of, good times with my friends. Like, I have a nice job. I guess the one thing which is maybe a little bit stressful is, once or twice a week, I like to get on stage in front of a room full of strangers and try and make them laugh. So I guess that's a bit anxiety-inducing. So I quit comedy last year. It's not going well. I think I wasn't really keen on quitting comedy. I think obviously this year didn't really give me much choice. But I think the reason that I didn't really want to quit is because it's sort of the first thing that I really kind of worked hard at trying to build as a skill. And I feel like I'm all right at it, I get told that I write good punchlines, which apparently is helpful. So I guess after investing so much time in trying to sort of build a skill like that, it's a bit gutting to have to give it up. So I thought to myself, okay, what's something else that I'm good at? And I could try and do that instead. Immediately, my brain was like, blowjobs. So that's not really the same, because I don't really want to do blowjobs as my career. No offense if it is your career, but I just think the appeal of comedy and performing in general for me is you want to have an effect on people. Ideally as many people as possible. Like, as a comic, sometimes I can perform for tens of people. Blowjob is like maximum 4. I'm never sure which number to say with that joke, because I feel like if I say 10, people are going to be like, shut the fuck up, Roisin. But if I say 2, people are going to like, pussy. Poor choice of words. I feel like another good reason for me to have gone for therapy is the pretty classic one, which is I'm a bit mentally ill. Now, a lot of comedians talk about mental health. I'm aware I'm not exactly, broaching new ground here, but I do think that a lot of comics, they tend to go for the more stereotypical ones, your depression, your anxiety, as I call them, the greatest hits. I'm a bit of a hipster, so I go for something a bit less mainstream. I have a borderline personality disorder. Ooh, a personality disorder. It's not your brain that's wrong, it's your whole self. It's a really fun trauma disorder. The symptoms include unstable relationships, paranoid thoughts. I have an intense fear of rejection, and I'm at increased risk for suicide. So hey, you better laugh at all my jokes. It sounds bad, but I try and sort of make games out of it. Like, I play games with myself. Like, is he an asshole or am I just crazy? And how many times do I need to text you for you to understand how normal I am? So kind of going on from that, I was in a relationship at the start of lockdown, emphasis on was. It does seem, it seems a little bit inevitable that we were going to break up, because we'd been together, and before I went away, we'd been together for about 6 weeks, and then I went away. And then obviously when I came back, we sort of had a choice when lockdown was announced, either go several more months not knowing when we were going to see each other again, or self-isolating together in a tiny cottage in the borders with no one else around to ever speak to or talk to. We're both mental, so we did the second one. And it is a little bit gutting, because it was really one of those relationships. It was my first relationship in years, and it was one of those, when you've had a really shit time for a long time, you kind of feel like this is the one, like it seems crazy, but you're like, oh man, finally you've kind of found the thing that you're looking for. And what I really felt was, it wasn't just the things that we had in common, but also our differences really complemented each other. So for example, I'm an extrovert and he's an introvert, and I'm a Taurus and he's a Sagittarius, and I have IBS and he has no sense of smell. It's like we were made for each other, to be honest. But yeah, we did break up. And obviously the other thing that happens when you break up with someone is you want to get out there, you want to move on, you want to make out with people, you want to shag other people, you want to make some bad decisions. And that's really hard in a global pandemic. Like, I don't know if anyone had to do this, but dating in lockdown sucked, because it was like you'd be talking to someone. But also, I'm fairly safety conscious. I've been taking this whole thing fairly seriously. So it gets to the point where you're like, hey, do you want to meet up and not touch each other? No, like no one wants to do that. Luckily, thanks to lockdown, I do now have lots of friends with benefits, loads of friends with benefits, PIP, universal credit, housing benefit, you name it, they got it. That's my first time performing that joke, and I'm very proud of it. But I do also, I think even without lockdown, I do find relationships quite difficult anyway. I think the problem is my type. Because for a long time, I thought that my type was skinny guys, right? Which is a classic, especially in the last sort of 20 years or so, support for skinny guys has gone up, right? But speaking to, but when I say skinny, I don't just mean like, a little bit small. I mean, maybe a bit malnourished. Like, when you look at a guy, you're like, oh, if we were 100 years ago, you'd probably have rickets. Like, that's kind of what my brain goes for. But I was talking to my friend about this, and she was like, Roisin, no, you're not into skinny guys. It's so much more specific than that. Your type is sad Catholics. And it's so embarrassing because she's right. Like, okay, I do need to be clear, right? This isn't a fetish, it's a fetish. No, it's not a fetish, okay, right? It's not like it's not as though I'm asking people what school they went to when we're on a date, okay? It's not a deliberate thing. I think I'm just subconsciously attracted to men who hate themselves, and there's a lot of overlap, I'm just saying. But it's not even that I ever go for practicing Catholics, it's always lapsed Catholics. It's like I want someone who's known the love of God and then lost it, and now is trying to replace that with something, preferably me. Like if I could just describe my ideal sexual fantasy for a bit, okay, it'd be, we're having sex, that's it. No, we're having sex. He comes, he rolls off me, he starts begging and praying and crying for forgiveness. I just masturbate to that. A lot of people tell me that my comedy is very sexual, and I guess that's very fair enough, but I don't think I can help it. It's just kind of how my brain works. So for example, someone was saying to me recently, oh, I could never do stand-up comedy. Public humiliation is my biggest fear. And without even thinking, I was like, public humiliation is my biggest fetish. Because that's why I do it, because if it goes well, great. And if it goes badly, great. You know what I mean? And then before I knew what I'd done, I wrote the joke down, and then I was on this Zoom gig and I was performing it, and people were laughing, which was annoying because I had plans for later. I've been Roisin Caird. This has been a really great gig, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you very much, Roisin Caird, for that amazing set. I felt personally attacked by the thing about sad Catholics, but never mind, it's okay. Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing your work with us. Okay, thanks everybody who's watching the show. If you've not already jumped on those comments on YouTube, get on, let us know what you're thinking. You can tweet using the hashtag #SYSocialClub. You can get us on the Sonnet Youth Backstage Facebook page. whatever way you want to talk about the show, as long as you're talking about it, that's what we're after. And now we're going to get to our headliner of this evening. We're really looking forward to having him on the show. He's a bit of a sensation. I'd like to introduce you all to Roy. Are you there, mate?
Yeah, man, I'm here. Thanks, Kev.
Good. How are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I'm sound. I live in a block of flats. That's been really quiet for the past 45 minutes. I'm just expecting it to go a bit mad now.
Is that not the usual kind of situation? Is it usually
No. Yeah, yeah.
Cool, man. They must know you've got a performance. They must know you've got a gig on.
For me, yeah.
So, how are you doing anyway? I know you've got a new book out, Algorithm Party. It's out on Rough Trade Books. Do you want to tell us a wee bit about that? It must be really exciting to have it out finally.
Yeah, it came out just the end of last year. And like you say, it was getting a bit of a burden going to gigs and people asking when are you going to have a fucking book out. So this is just the fucking book out, like collection of short stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and was a lot of that written during lockdown, or was some of it from before?
Yeah, it's old. Like I haven't written a thing during lockdown. Just not a single thing. I just sat in the yard for 3 months.
Yeah, well, that's a completely rational kind of response to being locked in your house, isn't it? It's just to sit in your arse and watch the telly and chill out. Yeah. It's good that you had a whole book worth of material waiting to go, though. That's good timing. So, what have you got kind of coming up 2021? Have you got any big plans, or are you just more sitting in your arse?
I don't. All the plans are on pause, but if they all come to fruition, I've got some good support acts coming up, like with some big bands. So that's what I like to do, really, support bands. So hopefully they happen.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like, doing the music gigs, and it's a room full of people who haven't heard spoken word or stuff before, and they're all fucking blown away by it.
Yeah. You never know how it's going to go, because when a musician or any musician walks on with an instrument, that people know what they're doing, but I just kind of stroll on with this carrier bag, and everyone's like, "Who's this guy?" I have to get their attention quick, or they're just not going to listen to me.
Yeah, I love those gigs though, man. It's like such a buzz when you don't know if they're going to completely go for it or start chucking bottles at you.
Yeah. That's a nice feeling, being on that edge there. Like,
Good stuff. Okay, well, I'm going to hand the stage over to you, everybody at home. Please put your hands together and make some noise for Roy.
Thanks, man. Cheers. I'll see how we do for time, but I'm going to read one from the collection, and it's called From A to B. A concoction of agitation, alarm and bewilderment wash over me. I'm very rarely venturing into town for a drink these days. I prefer to stay local. I'm old swan till I die, me. Yet here I am, trudging down Lord Street, observing a stag party from the northeast, watching them jostle for position at the cash point outside Barclays. I don't think the Geordies. You've got to be Darlington or something, these. Either way, there are some fucking horrific shoe and shirt combinations going off here. Really offensive. And that's without mentioning their distressed jeans. Probably named after the owner's mindset. Inexplicably, I start to wonder what became of Brookside's Max Farnham. The character, not the actor who played him. I couldn't give a fuck about him, unless he's just out there being Max, knowing full well that he'll never be on screen again, but just refusing to stop being Max. I'd go for a drink with Max, that'd be all right. But I've got a feeling he's just not arsed. Like a maverick, really. Begbie for the Jamie Oliver generation. You never really know whether what you're seeing is what you'll actually get here. These stag dickheads, though, you know. I know. They're gym rats, they're Instagram show-offs, Ted Baker boxies, cheering when a glass smashes in a pub. They seem harmless enough, though, until 4 of them get arrested for sexually assaulting Jill, the student from Congleton, at 3:47 at the Formula One hotel. This is why I'm not much of a town person, really. particularly of a night, I just go really paranoid. It seems everyone has got it in for me, even when I know they haven't. Strolling a bit further down the street, I watch furtively as a couple of street drinkers face off. I can't hear what they're braying to each other for the din of the shutters on Home and Bargain. When I say street drinkers, I don't mean the type who will just catch some fresh air while smoking a Marlboro and sipping on a £5 bottle of European lager before re-entering the garishly decorated bar to sniff low-grade cocaine and talk over everyone else all night. No, I mean these black cam warriors whose streets are paved with shit. They can be quite contradictory with their tone and manner at times. I recall scrutinising a couple of shoplifters in Breck Road Quicksave years ago. Not from any kind of moral standpoint, more of a ghoulish fascination really. The female of the species, who was clearly in charge of this particular law-breaking enterprise, had taken it upon herself to fit as many tubes of Colgate toothpaste as she could upon her person. Her partner in crime, though, wasn't doing a very good job of keeping Dixie. When she noticed he'd started to gouch instead of covering for her, she scolded him with a line that just had so much in it. "Oh, will you just fuck off?" Babe. Vicious yet tender, like Max Farnham. Our gruesome twosome here are now hugging it out, which confirms my suspicion that the whole of town is just balanced on a knife edge. Not a fine Sabatier or the likes, more one you would encounter in a scummy cafe that's had the same bottles of Sarson's vinegar on the same wipeable tablecloths since 1988. Uncertain whether it'll cut through yesterday's crusty cobs. Similarly to how I think about when I think about I'm going to get my head kicked in tonight. You just don't know, do you, until it happens. I've only ambled about 50 yards, yet I've managed to completely change my outlook on this imminent drinking session. I was pretty much looking forward to having a bevy with a new mate, to now all-out miserableism, having to endure this cesspit for the next few hours. I could be buzzing again by the time I get to Church Street. Who knows? My head can be a very thrilling place to be now and again. Lord Street reminds me of the 1980s. Getting dragged around BHS by me nan. Me acting the little twat. Then me nan having to take me to Blacklers for a toy in order to appease the crying. Great times, really. Not much has changed, if I'm honest. Just swapped me wife for me nan and a pint for a toy. As I make the transition from Lord Street to Church Street, I engage in an internal debate about where we're going to go tonight. Will it be a pub, or a bar, or a club? Night clubbing, the club scene, club nights, club heads, the Seal Club Clubbing Club, club biscuits, club sandwiches, fight club. No tar. Imagine your fucking hobby was clubbing. Fuck that. Church Street seems uncharacteristically dead. There's nowhere to get a drink here, but it's used as a conduit between Concert Square and Matthew Street. Both places are a hive for the city break crowd, hence my surprise at not being caught in the eye of a Woollyback-based storm. The lad I'm en route to meet, Brian, was probably right. I suggested we meet down at the Baltic Triangle. His response, "Fuck that. It's full of undercover coppers and Woolleybacks." It's done little to settle me nerves, but it could explain why one of the usually busiest streets in town is practically empty at 6 p.m. on a Friday evening. I'm not that well acquainted with Brian. Our lads play for the same school footy team, and we've done the usual small talk on the Sunday League touchline, but that's it. It's a nice gesture on his behalf to invite me out tonight. He seems a good lad. Property developer, I think. A few buskers are competing for attention up near the top of Primark. The human beatbox versus the acoustic Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here Man. I blank both of them and plough on toward Hanover Street. While a crowd begins to form, Above the melee, I hear the familiar strains of Dignity by Deacon Blue, and a sing-along has ensued. This cat isn't even a proper busker. It's just some scally standing on a case of Carlin, singing along to a battery-operated CD player. Our onlookers, of which I'm now one, are focused on the showman's sign he's holding above his head. On closer inspection, it's no wonder. It's a fucking belter. He's got it held aloft as he sings the chorus from the Scouse Party classic. It reads, I am sorted for ale. I need dough for Charlie. Smartphones aplenty are capturing this most magical moment, and Friday night belongs to this fella. At the rate the donations are flying in, he'll be bugling well into the small hours. There'll be no need to do Whole of the Moon as an encore. Crossing over into Bold Street, the reality now hits the homeless situation in our city. There's no wacky signs or Scouse anthems for these. They remain covered by the cloak of invisibility. A text comes through from Brian. Be at Alma de Cuba in 15. I respond immediately. See you there. I pay attention to an odd sensation that runs through my body, originating in my stomach but ending up in my arms. Strangely enough, I recognise this feeling. It's not new. I want to impress Brian, but I don't really know why. Walking onwards towards Slater Street, I'm aware of an energy that just seems to be there. Again, this isn't new. I know this. The hour between walking through the door after school and having your tea. The day had ended, but the night hadn't begun. Mystery, He-Man figures and footy stickers. Now we were all innocent children of God, until we weren't. This is the adult version. No man's land, a place of neutrality. The proverbial calm before the inevitable storm. Except the wonder and magic have been replaced by heavy dread and impending doom. There I go again. It's just a fucking bevy with Brian, for fuck's sake. This isn't a bar I'd usually frequent. I'm more of a pub fella. But it seems okay in a vulgar, comedic, disastrous kind of way. I've barely crossed the threshold before Brian beckons me over to where he's sitting. He's got a suit on, a three-piece suit. He grips my right hand, his left hand reaches for my neck and meets my right shoulder. I grip him back and clasp his right elbow with my left hand. It's a very awkward clinch. Not comfortable. I'm unsure what he's trying to prove. Maybe nothing. The table's littered with bottles of wine and vodka within buckets of ice. I notice Brian is drinking bottles of Bud. Sit down, man. Enjoy yourself. Yeah. I'll just get myself a drink. Do you want one? It's a token gesture, and I can see that he doesn't need one. But I can't have him thinking I'm one of those weirdos who goes to the bar just for his own drink. Yeah, go on then. I'll have 2 bottles of Grey Goose, 3 bottles of red wine, and another bottle of Bud for myself, please. Shit. My heart sinks. My brain downloads 1,000 scenarios. How am I getting away with this? Why has he presumed I'm like him, a flash cunt? I want to go home. I contemplate just getting off. But he senses it. I'm only messing, fella. Everything's on me. Get yourself involved. Okay, sound. Nerves are shot now. The music's too loud. It's too loud and too shit. I don't know where to stand. Shall I sit down? What do I do with my arms? What the fuck am I doing here? Brian's onto my awkwardness, and I'm onto him, onto me. I attempt to cover my idiocy. Been to work, Brian? Yeah, mate, yeah. This is awful. He clearly can't be arsed, and neither can I. You work up at the tax office on James Street, don't you? I nod along, but I don't remember ever disclosing this information to him. Yeah. What about yourself? Been busy? I'm busy every day, lad. Every day. This is pretty painful now. I scoped the clientele out. It's full of people I'd crossed the road to avoid. Loud, attention-seeking weirdos. Brian seems very different to how he is on the touchline with me and the other dads. There's an air of menace about him. It's not directed at anyone in particular, but it's there. I can't handle this silence. Big game next week, eh, Brian? He looks bemused. Oh, the kids, yeah. We'll fucking beat those little bastards. Listen, I need a favour from you. Panic, agitation, dismay, cowardice. Cowardice because I know I'm not going to have the minerals to refuse whatever his request is. All right, Brian, yeah, I can help. If I can, I will. What a fucking little wet wipe I am. Well, it's nothing really, mate. I just need a few details, addresses and that. I'm sure there's a fucking Craig David song playing. It's 2018, for fuck's sake. What's going on? Yeah, Brian, sure. What? How? I'm just chasing a few invoices up, you know. Fitted a few kitchens on Shevington Park Estate and they're not responding to me emails. You know how it is. Oh, God, yeah, it's a nightmare that. I spend half my time doing that. Then my vocal cords kick into gear without me giving them permission. As long as you're not going to kneecap anyone like, ha ha. Brian's face straightens out. He fixes his glare on me, then glances over at his mate. His mate disappears into the throng straight away. I wonder, what would Max Farnham do? You what? I'm only messing, Brian, you know, just like the films and that. Thankfully, Brian laughs, gives me a pretend kidney shot and hands me a folded up piece of paper. On it are two names written in biro plus grainy photographs of a couple of fellas in their late 50s, early 60s. Listen, you work in the tax office, right? So every fucker pays tax of some sort. I need as much info as I can get, addresses ideally. Now this is yours and there's more for you when you get the addresses sorted, right? Instinctively, I snatch whatever it is he's offering and lash it in my arse pocket. I'll do my best, Brian. You'll do more than that, right? Now I'm on call, so I've got to get off. Text me when you're done. Sooner rather than later, eh? And with that, he's off. No handshake, nothing. My big night out is over after less than half an hour. I've not a clue how much is in this envelope, but I'll soon find out. Days pass by, slowly and painfully, but I'm $2,000 better off. My conscience is wrestling with my ego, but it's too late now. I've spent most of the money. Worth it to see the look on me lad's face when I got him those new footy boots for his big game on Sunday, semi-final. The night before, while I'm trying to get him to break his new footy boots in and simultaneously check the footy scores on my coupon online, whilst attempting to watch Granada reports with the sound turned down, the faces of those two fellas flash up on screen. I scramble for the remote, but it's too late. They've moved on to the next segment, which will probably be about some twat in Darwin raping a pensioner. I usher the little man into the back garden so I can check the Echo website in peace. Fuck me. Those two fellas have been found dead in a bungalow in Formby. Suspected that they'd been tortured first. Jesus fucking Christ. Am I involved in this? A rapid bit of Googling tells me that these two have been locked up in the 90s for child sex offences, and 3 of their many victims had since committed suicide. They both worked at Young Offenders Institutes from the early 70s until the mid-90s. I'm no detective, but I can hazard a guess what's gone on here. Fucking hell, man. I was just meant to go for a pint after work. Me and the lad endured a very sleepless night, but both for very different reasons. Him dreaming about firing his team to cup final glory, and me being an accessory to murder and having to face Brian tomorrow. I can't just not go. I'll pretend I know nothing about it. The big game arrives, and as I take the kit bag out of the boot, I spot Brian loitering outside the changing rooms. He doesn't see me, so I get back in the car and watch me lad bounce towards all his teammates, telling them how brilliant his new football boots are. The game finishes in a 4-2 victory, and on what should have been one of my proudest moments as a dad, me lad's only gone and bagged that hat-trick. I've never really been present. All my focus has been on avoiding Brian, which I've managed to do all game up until now. Oh, he's got to win goal of the season for that last one. Some shot, that. They're going to win this cup, you know, and they deserve it. Just like those two cunts deserved everything they got. And exactly like you'll deserve if you ever so much as breathe a fucking word of this to anyone. But listen, I'm putting a little spread on at the Sylvestrian Club if they win the cup. Make sure you bring the missus down.
Thank you very much for sharing that story with us, Roy. Fucking hell. I can't believe that's just one story out of the book as well. So if you enjoyed that at home, then the book's called Algorithm Party. You can get that online. And yeah, what a fucking headline set. I was completely kind of enthralled in that story all the way through. So thank you very much for sharing
Thanks
that.
for having us, man. Yeah, nice one.
Pleasure. Okay, that's us. This has reached the end of our show. It has been a fantastic night of spoken word, of all sorts of art, actually. And we're so glad that you're here to join us and sharing it with us. Kat, what are you saying?
Yes, it's been an amazing night and a perfect antidote to wash away our January blues. So big, massive thank you to all of the artists that have been on tonight. That was Courtney Stoddart, Calum Ingram, Roisin Caird, and finally Roy, who you just saw there. I should also say we have a podcast, if you've not already checked it out. It's on Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Music, and we also put out a special bonus podcast for all of our patrons at Patreon, so definitely check it out. And yeah, we will see you in 2 weeks. I have been one of your co-hosts, Kat Hepburn.
And I've been Kevin P Gilday. Thank you very much for joining us at the SY Social Club number 18. We will see you all next time. Cheers. Bye now.
Bye.